Thank you, everybody, for coming to the Aaron Torres Podcast YouTube page. If you could do me a quick favor, see that little subscribe button at the bottom of your screen? Go ahead, click that subscribe button. Really does help our channel grow, our audience grow, and I really do appreciate it more than you know. So click that subscribe button. Appreciate your support. Now, here's the video that you came here for. Now that we've discussed quite a little bit here on the Aaron Torres Pod and Aaron Torres Pod YouTube channel over the last couple weeks, I'm talking about five-star forward Nate Ament. Okay, so Nate Ament, five-star forward. We'll get into his game, all that good stuff in a minute. But I bring it up because he has certainly had an interesting recruitment. Took 1 million visits in the fall. Seemed like a Louisville versus Duke kind of battle. Then in the last couple of weeks, there's been some interesting developments, most notably took a visit to Tennessee a few weeks ago, then took a visit to Duke for the first Carolina game. And then, oh, by the way, took a visit to Kentucky for their win over Tennessee, which I believe was actually 2 weeks ago today. So coming out of that recruiting visit, it felt like there was some momentum for Kentucky. By the way, John Calipari's been down a few times to visit him. Well, we got a little bit of an update on Tuesday, which I want to go ahead and dive in. Really two interesting updates, and those two updates are this. Nate Ament, five-star forward from Virginia, top uncommitted player in the class of 2025, both cut his list to 5 and set his announcement date. That list is as follows. Producer Matt, you can throw up the Joe Tipton tweet. Nate Ament is down to Arkansas, Duke, Kentucky, and Louisville. No, Arkansas, Duke, Kentucky, Louisville, and Tennessee. Sorry. Shout out to the Purdue fan who said all I do is you know what to Tennessee. So I guess that's not true because I just missed him on the final list. But cut his list down to 5, Arkansas, Duke, Kentucky, Louisville, Tennessee. And then also worth noting, he did say that he will commit at the McDonald's All-American game April 1st. So by the way, Torres was dead right on that. I said he's not committing till April. I've said that since September. Is not committing till April, but it'll be one of those 5 schools you can see on the screen: Arkansas, Duke, Kentucky, Louisville, Tennessee. So let's go ahead and dive into this recruitment. And I think a couple very new, interesting twists that have developed over the last couple days. So first of all, let's start with just, we've talked about it a million times, who he is. 6'9" forward from the state of Virginia, an incredibly, incredibly skilled player. Can do it all, really. Can handle the ball, can beat you off the dribble, can finish at the rim, can shoot threes, can get others involved. I know we use kind of the word like new age forward all the time on shows like this and anytime we talk recruiting, but that's exactly who he is. He's 6'9", can handle the ball, can do a little bit of everything. This is certainly not your typical old school back to the basket player, and it shows why he's not only a 5-star, but we've discussed this as well. There are NBA people that think in this incredible class of 2025 that Nate Ament might end up being the best player out of everybody. Better than AJ DeBonsa, better than Darren Peterson, who's headed to Kansas, better than Cam Boozer, who we'll talk about in a minute. And so, there are people that are like, he's going to be a top 5 pick. It's just a matter of where he comes out and does he end up being the best player in the class. With the recruitment, what's been interesting, it was a very busy fall, and we've talked about it a million times, but this was a kid that, a little bit of a slower recruiting process, got a Duke offer early, but really it wasn't until last summer when everybody else came in. Kentucky came in with the new staff with Mark Pope. North Carolina came in. UConn gave him an offer. Louisville gave him an offer with Pat Kelsey. And so in the fall, he took 1 million visits. I mean, he visited Notre Dame. He visited, I believe, Texas at one point. Visited Duke, visited this, visited that. But what's been interesting with this list now down to 5 is that there have been 2 really interesting developments in probably about the past 10 days or so. The first one, it is that Kentucky really has made their push. Now, part of it was Kentucky misses out on Caleb Wilson. He was their priority at the 4 spot. Nate Ament's the best player available, but they really made their push. And to their credit, they got him on campus. And as soon as they got him on campus, Mark Pope is a great recruiter. He's a great salesman. I was at BYU last week. That's all they said. He's like, you put Mark Pope in a room with anybody, people are going to come away loving the guy. It's just the truth. I mean, even the BYU people that lost him to Kentucky were like, he's the best. Put him in a room with anybody, he's going to sell you. I think the quote was, he could sell ice in a desert, and that's not an insult. That's not a bad thing. It's just he is a great recruiter. And so Nate Ament was on campus 2 weeks ago. Then the buzz immediately becomes, is he headed to Kentucky? And what did I say at the time? I said, listen, I think Kentucky is in that top tier. I think they are in the conversation. I thought this was a Duke and Louisville recruitment for a while. But I said, I think Kentucky probably has pushed itself into that top tier. The other thing that I would say, because I've been doing this for my entire life, I've been covering recruiting and basketball and football and this and that, is that the one thing I will say, there is always going to be a bump for every school immediately following a official visit, right? Has there ever been in the history of recruiting an official visit that went bad? Has there ever been a visit in recruiting where the kid said, you know what, they were on my list, but it kind of sucked, I didn't have fun? No. Every recruiting visit is positioned to put your best foot forward. So that was the first update that is worth noting. I think the second one that is as interesting to me, John Calipari, he's making that push. That big pig invasion has been going from Fayetteville to Virginia to see him play. And John Calipari has been in over the last couple weeks several times to see Nate Ament in person. Now, Nate Ament has not visited Fayetteville yet. That is worth noting. But Calipari went down there about 2 or 3 weeks ago. He went down there. I thought this was very interesting. He went down there last week with 2 assistant coaches, Chin Coleman and Kenny Payne, his right hand and other right hand man in recruiting. Those are his 2. That's the Don walking in with his 2, his 2 right hand men. And it's like, I'm just here to tell you, I've been doing this a long time. If John Calipari thought he had 0 chance at Nate Ament, not only would he not be visiting him, not only would he not be recruiting him, he brought his 2 lead assistants with him, his 2 best recruiters with him. And so I just bring it up because that means something. Okay, that's like when you try to put your best foot forward anywhere in life. Is your girlfriend or your wife's parents are coming over for the first time. You pull out the fine china, you pull out the nice suit, you put a little gel in your hair. That's Calipari bringing his 2 lead assistants. And I think the other thing that's obvious is that Arkansas is going to take a backseat to no one in NIL. And so if this does come down to an NIL thing, and I'm not saying that it will, but if it does, guess what? John Calipari is going to be in position to be in position. By the way, I see in the chat, some people are saying that he may even take a visit this coming weekend. I mean, I think if that happens, that changes everything. By the way, it wouldn't be this weekend, right? Because they play at South Carolina, I believe. But if there's a visit before April 1st, that to me is where it gets very interesting. And so we will see what happens. I think there are a few things here to wrap this segment. We'll close on Jay Lucas and we'll close on the Boozer twins. But I think what's worth noting in this is a few different things. One is that the April 1st commitment to me is interesting. Another month is that I think a lot can change in a month. One, can take that visit to Fayetteville, can take that visit to another place, can take that last visit to this school or that school. I know he's been to Duke multiple times. I know he's been to Kentucky. I know he's been to Louisville, whatever. Tennessee he's been to as well. But you get another month with this kid. Again, it's February 25th, and he's not committing until April 1st. A lot can change there, and a school like Arkansas can make a push. By the way, a school like Tennessee can make a push, whatever. So we'll see what happens. Listen, I'm not going to sit here and lie. If I had to bet today, I would still pick either Duke or maybe Louisville. Louisville has the whole fans take thing. For people who don't know, it's fans can donate directly to NIL. And then if he commits, he gets a fat check. And Louisville fans have been atop that leaderboard for quite some time now. So to me, I think it's interesting. The top 5 is there. I think the fact that Arkansas is there is saying something to me. The fact that Arkansas has another month to make a push is really saying something to me. So we will see what happens. But Nate Ament cuts his list, and Nate Ament is going to commit on April 1st.